Coming from the farthest reaches of the universe to challenge the worst toy repairs on Earth is the most powerful hero ever, toy-polloi. Parental guidance. This video contains scenes of Lego destruction.
Hello and welcome to another video from toy-polloi, and in today's video we are doing more work on a vintage Kenner AT-ST. Now, in the last video you'll have seen that I actually cut the eye holes out of this old Kenner toy and replaced them with custom flaps just to make this toy look a little bit more screen accurate, and I thought it made a massive difference to how this looks. So today we are going to be doing another modification to this to make it look even more screen accurate, and today's modification will involve the side guns, because if you look at the toy you can see we have a sort of matching pair of side guns. But when you look at the props and models used in Star Wars Return of the Jedi, you will notice that the right hand gun is actually a little mini railgun. It's not a matching pair to the other one. So that is going to be today's project. We are going to take the gun off this AT-ST, modify it and make it look more like a railgun, and hopefully make it look more screen accurate. So let's get on with the project. Okay, so as I said, we are going to start with this side gun. So this is the right-hand side gun of an AT-ST, and this is not actually what it looks like when you look at the props and models that we used in Star Wars. I often refer to this book. It's a very interesting book to have if you're a Star Wars fan. It's the Technical Journal, released a very long time ago, but it's one that I've always had and one that I always refer to. In it, there are some fantastic images of some of the props and models used in Star Wars. So we can see here, this is the sort of left-hand gun, and that's pretty much what this looks like. I think that's not a bad representation for a toy. But if we look at the right-hand gun, you can see here, it is a sort of mini little rail gun. It's much smaller than that gun. It's basically a little cylinder with some holes in the end of it and a few little bits of detail. In fact, there are a few better images than this one that I've found online. And from that, you can really sort of clearly see what it looks like. I actually have a more modern version of an AT-ST toy, and even that has a pretty good representation of what this little railgun looks like. So that is what we're going to do today. We are going to take one of these and modify it to make it look more like that. We will be using the basis of this because obviously we need this little bracket that fits inside the head of the AT-ST, but you can see this one is fairly chewed and broken. So my plan is to actually just sort of cut that off at the base there, and then we'll start making something, and I think Lego might be the starting point for this. So let's have a look in the Lego box and see what we can find. I've now had a quick rummage through my Lego box, and I found this piece, which I think is going to be ideal for the basis of the little mini rail gun. So this is a Lego piece. I'm not quite sure what the number is. I'll put the number at the bottom of the screen, but this piece cut into a little cylinder will be a good starting point. We then need some plates to go on the front and the back of it, and I was thinking I could just cut something out of some styrene, but looking in my parts box, I found these, and people who collect Masters of the Universe figures may know immediately what these are. These are the neck posts from vintage He-Man figures. If you take the heads off the figures, there is this little protector piece in there which is designed to make it hard to remove the heads. So if you remove the head, and when you put the head back on, you very rarely put these back in. So I've got a whole box of these, and you can see that one end of them is a lovely little disc. So I'm thinking that cut off and stuck onto a piece of this will start to give us the right shape. The back of this railgun has a little sort of pip on it. Another piece of Lego will be ideal for that. One of these pieces, again, I'll put the name and number of the Lego piece at the bottom of the screen. That cut down and stuck on the end of one of the neck posts will give us the rear section. Then we can build up the middle section just using some bits of 2mm thick styrene sheet. But we then also need to attach what we make onto this original bracket, and I think just a Lego pin like this will do fine. That will drill into there easy enough. They're very easy to cut as well, and then we can modify this and stick it into the side of this Lego piece. So it's a whole load of sort of construction, but basically Lego is the starting point with a few sort of remnants of some He-Man figures. So let's get cutting and making and see what we can produce. But I think we'll end up with something that looks pretty good, and by the time we've painted it this grey, it will really fit in. And here we go, here is what I've made. So this is just those few bits of Lego stuck together. I've added the two sort of neck posts there and added a little bit of detail on the front. You can see I've drilled some holes in to make it look like a mini gun. Then a couple of bits of styrene on the side, and I've got a Lego post here so we can use that to attach it to the original side gun from an ATST once we've modified that. I think that is looking pretty good. I've measured it against the Hasbro toy that I've got, and it feels pretty similar in size, so I think that will work. So the next thing to do is actually to give this a coat of paint and also cut this down. So I'm just going to quickly cut the broken part of this gun off and then drill a hole in it which matches this, which is about 4mm, something like that. So we'll then be able to stick that in there. So this will need a coat of plastic primer, and then I can actually sort of paint it with some acrylic paints to try and get the tones to match. Actually, that colour bit of Lego matches pretty closely already. So yeah, let's modify this first. So we're going to just cut the gun part off, drill a hole through it, and then get that painted. As soon as you start to put paint on, even if it's the wrong colour, it just sort of pulls everything together. So you can see those mismatched bits of plastic are now really starting to look like a railgun, and this fits really nicely into the hole that I've drilled in the original gun. I can just push that in there. You can see that's going to work really well, but obviously the colour of it is wrong. So we now need to paint this up, and I'm just going to mix together a few paints to try and get the tone that matches this grey plastic. This grey plastic does have a little bit of yellow to it, I reckon. So I've got some black Vallejo, I've got some white Vallejo, and a little bit of this gold yellow, and I'm going to see if I can match the colour as close as I possibly can. I don't want to paint this part, I want to leave this part the original plastic, so I've got to make this match that. So yeah, mix these colours up, get as close as I can, and once everything's dry I'm going to put a clear coat over the top of it. I'll be using a Mr. Hobby semi-gloss spray just to finish it off, just to give it a sort of nice sheen, a bit like this original plastic. But yeah, let's mix the colours and see how close to this sort of grey yellow that we can get. And here it is all painted up. I did spray it initially with a flat matte Mr. Hobby spray, but I didn't like the finish on that, so I have actually just resprayed that using the semi-gloss that I mentioned before. And I think that gives it the right sort of sheen. So we can now put this together. So this is the remnants of the original gun post. I can just push that onto there, and that doesn't look too bad at all. It's a little bit darker, just a sort of tad darker, but I think I'm happy with that. It's certainly going to look the part when I put it onto the ATST. So let's do that now. Let's get this all put together and see how this new little railgun works and how well it sits with the original. And so here we go. Here is the finished railgun now fitted back onto the ATST, and I'm really pleased with how this has turned out. It's a nice sort of subtle modification to a vintage toy that I've always loved, but it makes it much more screen accurate. And as you can see now, when I've got the toy on display, it really does look quite impressive. The fact that we've now got the open eye flaps and this modified gun, it just makes it a unique toy. And I will be coming back to this project in future, as I do still intend to add some lights inside it. I'm just trying to work out the best way to do that. But for the moment, this new little railgun takes the toy to the next level. If you want to have a go at making this for yourself, then you can use Lego like I've shown and bits of old toys, but there are probably many ways that you can go about it. Even just using bits of styrene sheet, you could make something that would do the job just as well. But for me, I like using things that I have to hand, and I've always got bits of Lego and I've always got the remnants of old toys. So in this instance, some bits of Lego and some bits from some old Masters of the Universe toys are enough to make something that looks really pretty good and also very in keeping with the sort of Kenner styles. I do need to say a massive thank you to my Patreons for their ongoing support of what I do here at toy-polloi. Without them, I wouldn't be able to make videos like this. So if you'd like to become a patron of the channel, then follow the links in the description. You get early access to all of my restoration videos, plus access to an exclusive video series called On the Cutting Mat, where you'll see projects and restorations that you won't see anywhere else. And if you've enjoyed this video, then make sure to hit the subscribe button and tap the bell to be notified each time I upload a new video. And thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching toy-polloi. Subscribe for more great videos.